break, but let's take you live now to a media briefing at the 55th ANC National Conference in Nasrec.
So morning to all of you once more. This room where you are all in is the press room. This is going to be a place where you interact with the leadership of the ANC in formal briefings throughout the 55th National Conference. So we have taken some of you here before when we did site walkabouts, and we also came in to verify what is going to be happening. This morning's briefing really is just to give you an update and set the scene for the start of the National Conference. At the conclusion of this, we've already arranged that we'll also do just another walkabout where we'll now take you to the plenary hall, including commission rooms, so that you can now have a feel of that plenary hall that you came to see before it had all the chairs, the draping and all of that. Those of you who are attending briefings of the ANC for the first time, my name is Pule Mabe. I'm the national spokesperson of the African National Congress, outgoing. So we have distributed a folder file. So the folder file that you have has got a program inside. So this is the program of the National Conference. At the back of the folder file, we explain the media village and its functionalities. You will see that the media village has got about 4 components. The media lounge, those of you who have been here before know the media lounge. And the media lounge has got a number of workstations there, dining facilities, you can get your coffee there as well, and water. Any other thing that you want, as long as it's non-alcoholic, will have to come from your pocket. Then media relations. So where you are is the press room. The press room falls under the media relations component of the village. So you've got the digital and visual media. So the press, there's got the media relations has got the press room, the press conference facility, which is this one. What we have also added is an ANC Today outside gazebo that you can use to do interviews outside the press room. So it will be set up just as you enter the media village. We'll also do media streaming for those that follow us. So the streaming team is also falls under this component. You've got the digital and visual media. So that's good. This has to do with your television broadcast studios, the studios that we had a lot of back and forth with. You can see we've set up our own, what our security guys refers to as an informal settlement. We've set up our own broadcast informal settlement just outside here. All the studios are set up there, so it provides space for yourselves to be able to do your work. We also have got radio broadcast studios. We've got podcast studios, we've got outside studios as well, and outside broadcast units. And our content and messaging is done by ANC Today. What we said the ANC Today team will also have to handle is the interviews, those outside interviews. So they will be setting up that gazebo, as I had said, where you will be able to then engage with individual leaders of the African National Congress, delegates that you might want to talk to, and all of that. Now, under that, you have got the directory of the village. It's just on your file. So, on the directory, some of the numbers have been updated. For instance, Comrade Amos Paho's number is the one that you have, not the one that is here. I'm sure all of you have got Comrade Amos Paho's number. Those are many of you have. I know, Amos, I've never said this to you. Just as, by the way, they did indicate that sometimes you don't pick up calls. At the conference, I'm sure there's going to be improvement. So I've passed the message. Amos now knows he's going to be available for all of you. But the media relations team doesn't include Amos alone. You know Comrade Steve. Comrade Steve is part of the media relations team. You know Comrade Mlemandlela, Ndamase. Comrade Mlemandlela is part of the media relations team. Comrade Kiitumetsi, she's part of the media relations team. Comrade Amanda. I'm reading these ones of the media relations specifically because they are going to be interacting with yourselves directly. You know Comrade Crispin, Comrade William Baloyi, Nati, Mklaba, Mtusi, Chris Vondo, and Clayson. So there are comrades who will assist you on media relations, but they fall on different segments, like Comrade Cornelius. You know him, he's the former manager of communications at Lituli House. He left us for other pastures. But he's here, he will be able to assist when you need assistance as well. So comrades, when you go down, they are the do's and don'ts. This is very important because it is applicable to everyone who is in the conference precinct. So everyone's conduct. So everyone must conduct themselves in a comradely manner. Where it deals with the media, I'm sure it will have to mean friendly. Show mutual respect, not being under the influence of alcohol. Let's read it together. Not being under the influence of alcohol or any substance. This is applicable to everyone. Engaging in robust but healthy engagements. Making contributions that build the organization. Yourselves is contribution to society out there through the free flow of information. Enhancing the rights of everyone at conference, protecting and enhancing the image and values of the ANC. This is more applicable to delegates, so that you don't go out and say the ANC also placed this on us as the media. Well, we're also saying our delegates must sing songs that reflect our rich history and avoid those that divide us. That they must respect the chairpersons of plenary sessions and commissions, avoid disruptive behavior, including excessive and unnecessary points of order, booing, shouting down people on the floor, and etc. So through yourselves, surely our delegates are watching wherever they are, so they will come here knowing exactly what's expected of them. Discourage and report any boycotted behavior. These include racism, ethnic chauvinism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, and etc. The possession of waypoints by and delegate at conference, including the media. No one except those authorized is allowed to carry a weapon here inside conference. I'm sure you have seen our security is well on point. If you tried something with a small knife, you might not be able to make it here. Because we have to protect yourselves, members of the media. We have to protect our delegates. We have to make sure that this place is safe for everyone. Behavior that violates the provisions of the Constitution of the ANC, form of violence, threats of violence, intimidation or bullying, act of sexual harassment, acts of criminality and destruction of property. Very important for our delegates. Acts of vote buying, or any attempts to influence the deliberations of conference through unethical means, behavior that threatens to divide the ANC. So we are not going to tolerate any of these that fall under the don'ts. Should we be made aware through the conference steering committee that there are delegates or others inside the conference precinct who are doing this that are not allowed inside conference, will be able to act decisively. And if such actions constitute acts of criminality, the South African police services within reach here will also have to make sure that we activate such. Delegates must be free in this conference. They must be free to express themselves and to do any other thing that they need to do for as long as such is allowed and permitted by the rules of the African National Congress and by the constitution of the ANC. When we met previously, we indicated that part of what we will do is that we will have, as today, we'll have a media open day. We have canvassed this concept with the National Conference Preparatory Committee. It has been fully accepted. The beverages that are allowed to be consumed inside the venue or around the conference precinct, including here in the media village, are non-alcoholic beverages. Non-alcoholic beverages. So anyone who is within this precinct must not conduct or carry themselves in a manner or way that creates doubt or suspicion, either about their movements or other things. So it's going to be very important. If you start elsewhere, just make sure you walk straight. Please. Because we can't impose rules, set rules for our delegates and give you colleagues from the media different privileges. So we have to make sure that what applies that side also applies this side. So that is as far as the program is concerned. Now let's just deal with what is happening on day one. So just as an aside, so this file is part of the marketing things that we were speaking about when we met with members of the media. It's nothing complicated. You saw the notepad with a pen. This one. So when we came to meet with yourselves and said some marketing stuff, this is what we meant. I see some of you have already opened it. Pens are ready to write. You could have done it with us, you see. This is what we're talking about. Nothing to do with enriching the ANC, no. We just wanted you to be able to have stuff to work from. Now it's fine. The ANC managed to go out of its way and got this. So you can make your notes on the books. So now they belong to you, these books. The NCS. We decided that we'll go out and get them for you. So these books are formally and officially yours. They belong to you guys now. Because maybe you thought the ANC wanted to do something else. We just wanted to do these books. We also wanted to do these files so that we can write this directory for yourselves. So we're coming to yourselves to do things that are going to be used by you, not by us. But because it was creating an issue with SANEF, with yourselves, with everyone, we said, no, maybe we must go do these things. Come and show you what they are practically. You know, sometimes seeing is believing. So we said, no, we'll do these things. The file is this one. The directory is this. So inside this, there's a program. So we were supposed to start at 8:30. We had some delays at registration, which are being resolved. Delegates are beginning to arrive. We must wish them well. Of course, it's going to be a very exciting conference. We have seen the energy that is there. And members of the ANC always approach their conferences with a great sense of camaraderie, and we hope the same will prevail this conference. We'll indicate to yourselves when we open session 1, the media relations team that is there on your file. So you have to keep these files, because this file has got almost everything you need to know throughout the conference. So we'll have interdenominational prayers, the national anthem, and the African Union anthem. And then we'll move to session 2, which will again be an open session. So you'll notice between session 1 and session 2, on top of that will be that open day that we will do for yourselves. But we want that open day to run up until we close the open session. It means after the president has delivered the political address and the media is now out of that and the session is no longer an open session, we move into other sessions. We expect all members of the media to be here in the media village. You have got ablution facilities here in the media village. If we find a member of the media outside the media village when it is not an open session, we have already discussed this, and I'm sure you all know it's very possible. So let's avoid that possibility. Just make sure you keep to the media village. When you go out, the media relations team will come and lead you to the plenary hall. We have already indicated to the security personnel that after this briefing, we will be taking you to the plenary hall so that you can be able to have a feel of how conference is going to really look like. You have been here before, so we're going to do that. Where there are cadres that you may want to interact with, make such requests through ourselves. Let me indicate that the Department of Information and Publicity, its authority is limited to structures of the ANC and delegates in conference. If you want to talk to nominees in this conference, you are welcome to do so, but you can do so through the Electoral Committee of the ANC. But if you want to talk to members of the National Executive Committee, members of provincial executive committees, delegates to this conference, the DIP team will assist. Any other cadre who falls outside that category is not the responsibility of DIP. Please. Let me repeat. If you are making requests to DIP on who you want to speak to, these comrades must fall under the following categories. There must either be members of provincial executive, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, national officials of the ANC, members of provincial executive committees of the ANC in provinces, preferably provincial secretaries and provincial chairpersons. Members of regional executive committees of the ANC, preferably regional chairs and regional secretaries. Delegates, branch delegates in this conference. Any other person who falls outside that category is not the responsibility of DIP. If you want to talk to nominees, do it outside us. This media village has been put up and set up to fulfill the work of conference. And the work of conference is stipulated here in this program. So every other thing that we are going to be doing here is going to be guided by this program. When you want to talk to individual leaders of the African National Congress who are in the NEC, already the media relations team is sitting with a list. So when you make requests, when you make a request, it could either be approved or be declined or be put in suspense. So if you ask us to speak to someone who is not in a conference, if we don't come to you at that point, it could be that whomever you are wanting to interview is not within the conference precinct. It could also be that they have not accepted that media engagement. So let's work together on those things. So we're done with the program. The second update that we must give you is around our special NEC. We had a special National Executive Committee of the ANC yesterday. There are issues we specifically dealt with. One of them is an issue of public interest around members of parliament who voted against party line on the Section 89 report. The NEC, in its deliberation and out of its own collective wisdom, concluded that following the party line is important for the unity of the organization. And that any member who goes against party line not only erodes the discipline of the organization, but undermines what we are supposed to fulfill, which is to unite our members. And that consensus in our meetings is forged through debates. That there's never been a time when the ANC National Executive Committee, through its spokesperson or through its Secretary General's office, had to go out and explain to the media who said what in the meeting. That every time what we went to deposit outside has always been decisions of the ANC, which should be a reflection of the minimum consensus forged in those meetings. This long-standing culture has not changed. In arriving at this conclusion, the NEC was also reminded by the courageous act taken by Krizani, who did not agree with the dissolution of the armed struggle, and yet was the first one to come out and pronounce his affirmation of the ANC doing away with the armed struggle. This was a courageous act, and we felt that it is this act of courage that must continue to inspire everyone in the organization on how we act on matters that have got to do with party discipline. As it relates to those of our cadres who did not follow the party line, the NEC concluded that we should not use debates, we should not use discipline again to stifle debates in the African National Congress. A view that our national chairperson had already placed out in the public. Having regard to this, and again paying attention to the unity of our organization, the success of the revolution that the ANC is expected to undertake, the National Democratic Revolution. That we empower the incoming National Executive Committee, which will be elected here in this national conference, to pay attention on what would have happened on the Section 89 report, and deal with any other matter that might be similar to that which will have taken place in the past, so that actions taken by the ANC on this kind of matters and as it relates to the conduct of its own cadres is consistent. All members of the ANC must feel that they belong to one organization, they are treated the same and fairly. As a consequence of this, there is no member of the National Executive Committee, as it is now, who will be appearing before the National Disciplinary Committee. These matters will be processed by the incoming National Executive Committee, and the incoming National Executive Committee will determine the course of action, having looked at all of the cases of a similar nature that would have occurred in the past. We have seen already yesterday members of the media carrying letters purported to be from the NDC. It is very important that members of the media, when the NEC of the ANC is in session, they allow it to conclude, come out and brief it on what its decisions are. As we hand over this National Executive Committee to the incoming leadership, the 55th National Executive Committee, which is expected to be elected over this weekend, the NEC, the ANC is not coming here to bury itself. The incoming NEC will have the responsibility to take forward some of these issues. And if they arrive at a determination that this case and others of a similar nature in the past require the attention of the NDC or any other disciplinary structure of the ANC, they will take that decision. There will be an NEC. We will say to them in our handover report, part of the issues that you must attend to when you take office is this. Because not towing a party line, if it is not properly addressed, has got the potential to erode the authority of the party, even at the local government level. We do not want our councillors behaving erroneously and arguing that they saw this being done by us in upper structures. We do not want our MPLs behaving in the same way and arguing that this is being done by upper structures. The discipline of the ANC must be common and consistent. What we do in municipalities when cadres do not toe the line must be what is done everywhere else where comrades don't toe the line. We need to remind our members and structures that towing the party line once more is important to the overall unity of the organization. This is one principle that the ANC cannot renege or compromise on. We must uphold this at all material times. The National Conference Preparatory Committee will meet just after the delivery of the political report to finalize and communicate key resolutions coming out of the NEC, especially as it relates to the review or amendments of some of the rules on the electoral committee, on the electoral guidelines. Specifically, the rule that deals with the right of a member to stand when such a member has been found guilty with or without the option of a fine. So we have got to attend to what our resolution is, convey that, and communicate one consistent message, so that those of our cadres that might be affected by what would be the final decision or may not be affected, such is fully communicated. We have got a responsibility to make sure that there is nothing that will collapse this conference. The commitment made by the National Executive Committee when we met yesterday is that we are going to do everything else in our power to make sure that this conference concludes its business. We are expected to nominate national officials today. We expect our delegates to vote for national officials tomorrow morning. And this collectively, this leadership agreed that it will do everything else to make sure that all these processes run smoothly. We're encouraged by the fact that registration has not been disrupted. Besides time and systems glitches, everything is going as planned. Our lower structures can learn a lot from how we are conducting this national conference. We want all our gatherings to be undertaken in this fashion. Meetings of the ANC must never collapse because of credentials. We have to debate robustly. Members of the ANC are dynamic themselves and ultimately find each other. It doesn't mean that if you go to a meeting and held a specific view, if you raised that view in the meeting and that view is not ultimately conveyed out there, you are a lesser cadre. No, you are still an activist. So those delegates that are coming to conference must come with that kind of an understanding. Working with yourselves in the media and your constructive reports during the policy conference, we are looking forward to the same. Your reports don't have to be favorable to the ANC. We subscribe to an independent media ourselves. We articulated an advanced freedom of speech. So that is why when there was misunderstanding on what we had communicated out in the public and others seeking to suggest that we may want the media to pay to cover an ANC conference, it worried us a lot. We'll never do that. This is your space. Whoever you want to talk to, as we have said, you will make such requests and will make those cadres available. The other point, must also welcome the decisions of the courts. There are comrades who had gone to court to ask the court to compel the Electoral Committee to release raw data. Well, they would have exercised their rights when they were doing that. We can't take away the rights of our members to approach courts. It is their democratic right. But we want to believe that as democratic, as disciplined members of the ANC, they will also act to accept the decisions of the courts. They know what happened in the branches. We have now communicated the list of those that have qualified, and we are expecting, especially of additionals, and we're expecting that our branches will have a fair opportunity to choose from those. If some of those comrades who went to court believe that they have got cadres rallying behind them, here is the right space, not even the court. They can be nominated from the floor. So let's do a litmus test. Let's check. I guarantee you all have got the names of the ones who went to court. Let's check if they can make it from the floor. Not very far, from the floor. Not from the court, just from the floor. Want to check how they will fare. They are here. If they are not delegates, they can even write letters and contest with letters. But let's check. So we are inviting them that, comrades, you still have got an opportunity. Losing court was not the final arbiter. You can come and try here.